Prosecutor's Office handles our criminal appeals. They also assist us with providing trial assistance if we request it. They'll handle cases at our request if I have a conflict or if there's a case that needs assistance. They also assist with property tax appeals, potentially, and labor negotiations if we request it. Some of those things require additional payment beyond the $7,000 annual payment. But I have the resolution they'd ask us to pass.
I'm good.
Is that a motion, Gerald?
Yeah.
Is there a second, sir?
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passes.
If I could get it after it's all signed, I'll send a copy up to them of that resolution.
Okay.
And as Jason asked me, we received notification and a check from the state for our crime victim advocate grant. The check covers July through September, so we should be getting another check for October to the end of the year, January. They send them after each quarter. So we were included with the motor fuel tax
So
disbursement.
somewhat we're caught up to their normal timing.
We are. This check was just basically 2 months late. So we are caught up.
Where did that resolution go to?
It goes to the appellate prosecutor, so if someone ever questions why they're handling the case, they can point to the resolution. All right. Thank you much.
Okay, thanks.
Since we're going into closed session, do you want me to, should I wait till the time on the agenda, or do you want me to jump on Joe now, or
You
what?
can do it now if you want.
Good. I'm good if you're good, Joe.
Okay.
You just ready, you're gonna get?
Yeah.
Do you need me to stick around?
No.
Okay.
Unless
I'm gonna step out, if that's all right.
Okay, that's
Check out
fine.
how things are going.
Chair.
All of them
over
basically
here.
fixed now.
It really just depends on integrity of your dirt some days.
Have one.
That's good laughing. We've all these nice people.
He said it really depends on the integrity of your dirt some days.
Oh, does.
If it was really sloppy and
I'm just borrowing back here.
and
That'll
then put the big stone down first,
we got some
tightens it up tremendously and helps out a little.
I think so too.
If it's really good some days,
Here, Dave.
Clay.
just go on with CA6, it would be fine, just from the start.
Well, had a customer that had put C6 on gravel. I constantly had potholes in it.
Like on road gravel. Well, it just depends on thickness, I guess, and how tight you roll it in and everything like that. If you get pretty loose
Yeah.
and not roll it in tight, then yeah, okay, it'll take the potholes quite a bit. Potholes are caused a lot by the underlying, it starts pumping down there and that's what
And
works it out.
ditches, I always find ditches, but this seems to drain good. Got good ditches and they drain.
Yeah, the more clay your soil is, if there's clay mixed in with that gravel, the more it tends to pothole and pump. That's
Okay.
the more granular it is, the better it is for a road bed.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else?
All right, no,
Thank you,
I'm
Joe.
done.
Thank you. And Joe.
Have a lovely day.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
I think that's is that your pen?
Hey, how are you?
Okay,
I was next door to your house just a minute ago.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, from my aunt and uncle's.
Oh, okay.
See you later,
claims?
George. Bye.
Just the back page, correct?
Yes. And the first one.
Be right to it.
Anything else, or?
You good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you.
Sam Stratmeyer's asked to address the board for 10 minutes.
Thank all of you for your time. As you can see, there's other people here in the room. And I think what they're interested in is the tax issue that you all have on your agenda today. The agenda says that you're looking for a tax levy on property. It's really hard to comment on a lot of it because it has not even been made public yet. And Gerald, how about we start with you? Why don't you tell us what's on your agenda today for tax increases?
Sam, as far as I know, we were just gonna, vote on the sales tax.
Sales tax, you did that at your last meeting. On your agenda, it says a property tax levy. Last meeting I was here, you had two items on your list. One was for sales tax, and the other was for the property tax.
Yeah.
The sales tax was voted in for a 1% sales tax increase, which will go on the ballot there March 15th.
It was
Last-
a question put on the ballot.
Yes, put on the ballot.
Right.
The next item, it was continued to this meeting for the property tax. I am back here for the property tax, and everyone in this room is interested in the property tax.
I understand.
And so, right now, what are you getting ready to vote on, Gerald?
Well, this property tax levy, but, Sam, we're gonna have to talk about it.
Well, I think we're here to talk about it. But you've got to vote in 10 minutes on it. Now, I am urging you to vote no on this property tax levy. And that's what I said last week. The fact is, what you need to explain to everybody in this room, at midnight on December 31st, your tax is eliminated. The property tax is eliminated from the county share. I've been coming to meetings, I look around the room here, I see people that have been at meetings all summer on the taxes. I even made a statement, the time to cut property tax is at the levy meeting. This is the levy meeting, is it not?
It is.
Okay, now in a few minutes, you're gonna vote on the proposal, and so far, you've not been able to tell anybody in this room what you're getting ready to vote on. Can you tell me what you're getting ready to vote on?
Well, as far as I know, Sam, we haven't even talked about it. We need to discuss it. We'll have more than 10 minutes. I guess you just got 10 minutes. But
Now, I might have 10 minutes. Okay, what I am urging, and all these people are urging, they want property tax relief.
Sure.
They want smaller government. And I don't even have to ask these people the question. They want smaller government, they want stuff brought into line. They want a smaller footprint. What is really disgusting is, you're getting ready to vote on a project that you've not even put out here. Has anybody in this room seen it? No. I don't even think you've seen what you're getting ready to vote on. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, I haven't, we're just gonna discuss it. today.
Well, when do you think you're gonna vote on it?
Well, probably today, we're supposed to.
Wow, what a way to run government.
Well, I mean, I think you're sitting here trying to bash Gerald in front of everybody, but I have spent a lot of time, we've
Okay.
been looking at this. I don't know what Gerald and Jeff have been doing, but, I know personally, I have looked at it and spent some time on it as well, so.
What do you have?
We have an annual tax levy, it goes through every different thing that we do every year. It's, we're limited by PTEL, by how much we can increase it, we all know that. So, we're looking at 0.8%,
So how much is the increase?
it'd be roughly around 0.8%.
So you're getting ready to vote on a,
I mean, that's what's proposed, we haven't voted yet.
right now, but what's proposed?
After it goes through, it would be roughly whatever's lower, the inflation, which would be.
I can accept that without a calculator.
Yeah.
Without a
Which, I mean,
calculator,
if you
what
look
you're
now-
saying
If you
is,
look right now, it's about 0.8%.
It is.
Maybe a little bit lower.
by law, you can do 4.99 without going to the public.
Right.
Or you can say, we can raise it based upon last year's taxes, based upon inflation. So
Whichever is lower.
whichever is lower. So
Yes,
you're getting
which
ready
is
to
inflation
vote
is lower.
on a tax increase of how much again?
It'd probably be roughly 0.8%. I mean,
When did you get these numbers?
well, I got them a while back.
Now, I was
It's
here.
my job to get these numbers and go through them.
I was here at the courthouse yesterday asking for a copy of it, so I could go through it. Yesterday at 4 o'clock, it was still not made available to the public. Whose fault is that?
I don't think it's, I think I was told that it could be made public after it was voted on.
Are you telling everybody in this room that you're not going to make public a tax increase after you all voted on it and implemented it? Is that what you're telling everyone? That we're gonna vote for a tax increase and we'll tell you how much we're taxing you after we've done it on Christmas Eve?
He's like Madam Pelosi. That's
Do you
what
wanna
she said about
comment on that,
Obamacare.
Patrick, or?
Well, it's up to the board who information is released to before it's voted on.
Okay.
The board can release the information to the public if it wishes,
Okay.
but it's not a public document until it's passed by the board, meaning that it's not entitled to be seen by the public until it's passed.
Are you hearing that, everyone? You
I'm hearing
you cannot look at the
No.
document till after they voted a tax increase, but we'll get back to that subject matter.
Well, I just want to be clear, I'm just describing the law, I'm not, the policy is set by the board, is set by the board.
Okay. But now
The board can change that law then if they want to.
No, what I'm saying is, it's a document that the board can circulate if it wishes, or can keep if it wishes, to itself.
How can that be changed?
It's a board decision is what he's saying.
Right.
Okay,
Wait,
that's
I
what I
guess
asked, the board
public
can
records
change
are-
it if they
yeah.
want to.
Yeah, I guess
Public
so.
records are governed by the Freedom of Information Act, and the public record does not become a public record until it's approved.
I guess if, the board or the chairman, Jeff Weber, made it available, I guess it would be available.
Okay. Is Jeff gonna make it available? What you're getting ready to vote on?
Well, is that something you guys wanna do? Do you wanna make it available for X amount of time, or?
I have no issue with it.
I'm good with it.
I mean, this is something, we do every year at this time. I have no issue if someone wants to look at it.
Now, I do have a question, and I'm assuming that you all are doing something that you all did last year. This is only assumption on my part. You all have last year you all adopted one ordinance for what, 10, 12 different levies? Whatever it is, does anyone remember offhand without looking? I understand if you don't. But I brought last year's. I can pass this around, anybody wants to look at it, they can look at it. The levy last year was all put on one ordinance. Is that the way you're all planning on doing it this year?
That's the way it has been presented,
That's the way it has been presented.
prepared.
Now, I've been to different meetings, and there's been a lot of discussions about separate and different items. So is that the way that you all wanted to put it, as a vote up or vote down on one ordinance for 10 or 12 different levies?
What do you guys think?
Is there a specific levy that you're debating or don't think should be on there?
Well, I think there was a lot of debates on, now, I know Patrick and I spent some time to try to get educated on some of this here. This is a budgeting process. The power of a county commissioner is the power of a budget. You all have to put the budgets and the operation of the government together. Now, my understanding is that when it gets down through all the processes, then Juanita's proposing whenever, I guess she's the one that, who prepared this document?
One of his office did.
County
Okay.
clerk.
So after you got your information, you prepared the document. When was this document available to them? Today?
Friday,
Friday. So they all had it Friday.
as far as I know, they did.
So it was done this past Friday. Okay. But it still hasn't been released to the public yet.
But that wasn't my decision.
It was the board's decision, Patrick said that was.
Okay. I'm just trying to get to clarify the fact. One, I'll be very brief, is I'm against, I would like to see the property tax expire on December 31st. I would like to see the property tax expire. I would like for you to vote no. I would like for you all to table it. If you all table this, it expires automatically. Automatically at midnight on December 31st, what you all are looking at expires. There's only,
So the total levy you want to expire.
yes. That will give property tax to people in Massac County some sort of a property tax relief. And that's what everyone here in this room is asking for. That's what they've asked for nationwide, statewide. I mean, it's not a,
So what you're asking for is the property tax levy to expire and then live, for us to live off the sales tax, income tax, fees and fines is what you're suggesting.
that's what I'm suggesting, yes.
Would county government be able to do that?
Well, I looked at the numbers. I think they will be able to do it. And I also think that if you all let this expire, I think you're gonna see how creative everyone is. I think you're gonna see how creative they are to make the government work. And what I am saying is, if you let this property tax expire, which it is set to expire on December 31st, it will not shut down government. Government's gonna continue to operate. Well, there might be changes. Yeah, there might be changes. But I said, that's what county commissioners do. You all sit here and deal with all the office holders, you deal with all the people in this room, and you, have them keep coming back until they get a functionable plan. That's actually the only kind of powers that you all have. Your whole powers as county commissioners comes down to basically two things. You all get to do the budgets, and the money, and the taxes, and you all get the power to appoint. Now, they'll say you can do all these other things, but those are what county commissioners do.
So are you asking roughly what, 2.4 million, 2.5 be taken out of the budget?
I'm asking for, yes, for that to be and voted down, or if you don't even wanna vote it down, just let it expire. Let it expire, let the people have a property tax relief. How much was it, Jason, since you've got the number?
Last year it was, 2.465.
That was last year's, and this year it will be on top. So let's round it off to $2.5 million, if that's fair. Yes, I am asking for a $2.5 million property tax relief for people here in Massac County. That's what I am asking for. I'm asking for you all to either step up and vote no, which will
So
tell
let's-
everybody how you feel,
We'll just
or you all
discuss it
can
real
sit.
quick, so that would do away with the, IMRF, what we put in the retirement, county highway, the bridge, the TV, federal matching, health insurance, mental health, don't give it to any of those facilities, right?
Oh, I didn't say that.
Well, you're saying doing away with it.
I said doing away with a property tax. I didn't say that y'all get rid of any of those.
You said
And now
that-
Patrick's gonna come in here and tell you,
You
what's-
said to do away with the levy, right?
I'm saying do away with a property tax levy, get property tax relief.
Okay, which, I mean, if this here's where the money goes, what I'm saying.
I am saying that you still have another $2.5 million that you can have for your functions. That makes what you all county commissioners. You all are gonna have to decide on the functionality of government. You all are gonna have to vote on it. Only thing I'm saying is to get rid of a property tax, give the people of Massac County property tax relief. If you all want to have different functions, and Patrick's gonna tell you what's required by law. Once you all let it expire or let it go, he will come in here now and say, this is what you have to have by law. And he's gonna tell you that's what it's gonna be. Now, he's gonna say it's gotta be a levy, but it can also be a line item in your budget. And if it's required, then why do they need your vote? So whenever he comes up here and says this is required, so if it's required, it's already state mandated, why do we have to vote on it? If it is already here, why do we have to do it? What I am saying is your property tax expires. I am also I will even break it down, items that you have on it. The items, a tuberculosis fund, you're taxing the people on their property tax $50,000. How much is in your fund now? Do you know, Gerald?
No, I don't.
Jeff, do you know roughly?
A couple weeks ago, I knew. Let me see
Here, I'd
what's-
say,
Are you
I believe
about
that.
done? I've given you an extra 5 minutes. Is that fair?
Yeah. And then I'll leave.
224, but that's been a couple weeks ago.
224,000, you got $224,000 in a TB fund that you're getting ready to tax the people here in Massac County an additional $50,000. When was the last time the TB fund was accessed?
it's been years,
2 years ago, they put it in the general fund.
yes. But,
Oh, so it's a slush fund. What you are telling everybody now, it is a slush fund, so you're just leveling TB? You know, the fact is, let's go back to what the TB says. If the TB fund has never been accessed in years, you know, there's a real question that you can tax people for items that aren't being used. And that's what you're getting ready to say. They are taxing people for items that are not even being used.
what's the potential?
I think
Well,
that
there's a
y'all,
bit, but if it was used for something else other than TB, then, yeah, it turned into a slush fund.
it can turn into a slush fund.
We're
The
fortunate
question-
we haven't had a TB outbreak that it's been needed for, and we're blessed.
Sam, about 10 years ago or 12, we had a TB problem,
How long?
10 or 12 years.
10 or 12 years.
And we had, if my memory's correct, we had to send the man to a sanitarium down in Missouri. I forget what it is. $10,000 a month or something like that. It was real expensive. But we got
So,
that taken care of.
for something else that has happened 10 or 12 years ago, so in the meantime, we get to use this as slush fund money. And then if something happened, what happened last year when you have taken all the slush fund money and you had a TB, what would you have to done then?
Do what now?
What I'm saying is, you're taxing the people of Massac County for one thing, you're using it for something else.
Yeah, it's been 10 minutes.
And then it's been 10 or 12 years since the last case has happened.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, are you listening to what you're saying when I ask these questions?
I was thinking.
That should be eliminated. If that's the
Yeah,
case, it should be something, then that should be dealt with at that time.
I was thinking, Jason, there was a ceiling on that.
There is, I mean, I agree with that. There
Yeah.
should be something maybe reduced on that. I'm fine with
I
that,
agree.
so. But that is something that counts built in. That is something that we could probably, look at reducing that one.
We have to pay a girl to take care of it every month, which is not much.
You done?
Well, I got another thing. You know, another thing that I was looking, if you live in a city of metropolis, to paying for a dispatch, now this is related to people that lives in the city of metropolis. You're paying dispatchers. You You know, they're paying dispatching 3 times. You're paying dispatching through, if you look through your sheriffs and what you're doing, you're paying the county dispatchers. The city of Metropolis is paying dispatchers at their police station. And then we're getting taxed on the 911 on our phone bills for a 911 service for dispatching. What I'm saying is, if you all eliminate the entire property tax, of what I'm suggesting, half of it, the government is not gonna shut down. We're gonna become very creative on where we're gonna move the money to and what's gonna happen to it. It's not because there's a lack of money here, it's because there is an abundance of money. And I'm saying, give a tax thing, and I'm saying, vote no on this here. And I said, if you don't wanna vote no, just let it sit on the side of the table and let it expire on December 31st. They get their you get a tax break automatically.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you know what sources of income the county has besides property tax?
They got sales tax, they have fines, it's in their budget here.
I've never seen the budget.
Okay. I'm sure they would let you look at it.
To answer your question,
No, you can go for it.
sales tax, income tax, we have a replacement tax, we also have what's called fees and fines. Different offices collect, state's attorney, circuit clerk, county clerk, and then we also get money off housing prisoners from other counties. And that also helps as well, so, that's pretty much the gist of it.
Well, what's the total, like in percentage wise, of your income other than property tax? The property tax make up half your income, 25% of your income?
I don't have that in front of me at this moment, but like, for instance, last year replacement tax was around $320,000. Sales and income tax, is coming up, which means we're busier in the county, which means if your sales tax goes up, that means more people's purchasing things within the county. Income taxes went up, which means more people are working within the county. So those show a trend of increasing. For instance, income tax went from $615,000 up to $714 this past year. Sales tax has increased a pretty good amount as well. And then fees and fines are just based on, people getting pulled over and things like that, and different fees that, like you would pay in the county clerk's office when you're recording a deed and things like that. They built up, and then prisoners, it's just based on, how many people that we house, in the jail facility. I had that information somewhere here.
$30 a day for a.
Well, my point is, though, you have various sources of income other than property taxes to operate the county expenses from. Is that a correct statement?
We have other sources of income, yes, but it would not be,
Now,
it would not be enough to fund
okay,
the county government.
That's my other point I'm trying to make. What percentage does property tax make of your total income
Yeah.
to operate the
I-
county?
I wasn't prepared for that question today. I would have to look in
Well, I mean,
here.
could
Say
you take
50%.
You know.
50%?
Say 50%, say 40%.
I don't know, maybe Jeff or
What I'm
Gerald can answer
saying
that
is,
for
that
you.
there should be cuts. I do
I agree.
believe that if you cut, you will see creativity here in the courthouse. And Gerald brought up another thing, he even mentioned this stuff at another meeting. The jail, when they put this property tax on, that is keeping up the jail. Well, the jail houses people from other counties. So in a sense, they are wanting to tax you or give an increase to you to keep up, so other counties don't have to have a jail, or they don't have to have a tax increase.
Well, speaking of the jail, like Sam brought up, for instance, I got a printout here of each county that pays this. This isn't including December, but revenues for Johnson County, they paid us roughly $60,000. Polk County's paid us $20,430. Hardin County's paid us about $6,700. So we've roughly brought in about $90,000 this year of housing inmates.
But now the next question is, ask them what it costs to do it. And what I've also suggested there is, we should send our people to Tri-County, and you should cut the cost. Instead of taxing us to keep up, so Johnson, Pope, and Hardin, out of the counties he just named, so they don't have to have tax increase, we have to have a tax increase. I say send ours to Tri-County and cut the cost.
All right, just for an example of this, what you're talking about, the jail system.
Yes.
Is that a net gain or loss?
It's a net loss.
There you go.
I'm gonna reel you in for a second, cause I hate for everybody else not to have a chance if they
I know.
have a, is any question?
Yeah, I've got the question. What do these large plants in the county pay?
Property tax,
Oh,
I mean,
a bunch.
Whatever kind of tax
Well,
they're
they-
supposed to pay, we've got 3 major plants and
Yeah, I
one
mean-
smaller one in the county that.
Well,
No, they should-
now they reassessed Lafarge because the kiln was down and dropped their taxes, the property value by 1 point something million. The kiln came back up 6 months later, and they won't reassess them. A new assessment for 2 years is what I heard. Don't quote me on this, but you can ask them. They said they would reinstate their old tax, but they wouldn't do it for a partial year. So after this year, maybe they'll reinstate it. Is that correct? To an extent?
well, no, I don't know, I can't answer that question, for you, cause I do not know the answer. I don't know if Gary wants to elaborate any of that.
I'm not prepared to
Okay.
make any statement right
You know, because, he's our property tax assessor, but,
And, you know, the reason why I know that is because we're having an issue with Joppa School Board. We have some people coming in wanting to try and get us to consolidate because the taxes went up. Well, the reason why our taxes all went up, yes, the school did ask for money, but when they dropped their taxes, they raised property tax up to help compensate.
Anybody from that side of the room?
I didn't come here about that, so.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
all right.
Put
And
you on
well,
the
and I
spot.
wanna ask though, so, now these other counties are paying us to house their prisoners. And then you're taxing us to not just take care of our prisoners, but theirs too. So you're making double the money, I mean, you're making money both ways. So, I mean, that's kinda,
Well, it says the prisoners won't pay for what it costs them now. What we get off of the other counties.
right, and that's what I'm saying, they're losing money in that, even though they're, you know, trying to make money. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a jail up here, but I got nobody I need to visit.
The question that you should ask is, like, the other counties that do have jails, they get federal prisoners, they pay $75 a day. What this county's charging is 30. We're gonna have to raise our rates here in this county, we're gonna have to do something. And then you're gonna have to search for federal prisoners, you're gonna have to do things that government has to change, is what I'm saying here. I've got one other thing, I'll be brief, y'all have been very kind and generous to me. I am wondering why this county does not have to go through the same rules, it appears, as what the truth in taxation. It's my understanding that any tax levy, what you all have, has to be made 20 days prior to the vote. So if you're wanting to vote on this, this should have been done 20 days ago. As we've all heard, basically, even to this moment, what they are proposing is not even made public yet. I'm saying they have to make it public, it's gotta be 20 days before they can vote on it, so it's roughly 3 weeks.
Well, the attorney's here, is that right?
I believe what Mr. Strautmeyer's referring to is the budget must be put forward before it's passed. Truth in taxation requires that if there's gonna be a increase of greater than 5%, which we cannot do because of PTEL, then we have to have a hearing where the public's invited to explain the tax increase of greater than 5%.
But we're below that.
Yeah, our tax, we're limited
We
by
have to go
PTEL
on the lowest.
0.8%.
Yes, I mean, we gotta go whatever the lowest number is, which is inflation, which is, I think we all can agree it's 0.8 or a little bit below.
I've still not seen that 20-day notice,
He just explained to you. it's-
even
it's
on
a budget.
even on budgets here. I haven't seen that here.
The budget hasn't been, what do you mean, the budget being
We have
proposed?
Yeah, or even last year's, I didn't see it last year's, I don't remember.
I mean, it was up, I mean, I don't know if you came by or chose to, but it was there, we do it every year.
Okay.
But once the budget's passed, it's just like other governments do, they post it for you to look at. Or post it for you to
It's
look at
still-
before it's voted on.
It's still, get back what I'm saying, I'm asking for you to vote no, or to table it and let it expire. If this is what you're putting out there today to vote on, which no one in this room gets to say, I say table it. And I say let it expire on December 31st. Give the people a tax break. And then you all sit down and figure out how you're gonna run the rest of the government on, your other incomes that are coming in, such as whether you have to raise the rates over at the jail or what you have to do there for other counties. But yes, I'm asking you for you to vote no. If you can't vote no, set the item to the side, let the tax expire on December 31st.
I think that sounds reasonable.
Thank you all very
Okay,
much.
anything, Mr. Fick?
Do I have anything?
Yes.
Just one statement I'd like to make. I think a county of this size should be much better off financially than it is if the major industries in this county were paying what they're supposed to be paying. Over the years, I've noticed that they're constantly appealing their taxes. I think if we put our efforts into getting them taxed correctly, I think it might solve our budget problems. I came before the board some time ago and asked them if that was a bother to them, or if they, had done anything about it or wouldn't look into it. Essentially, I got no response. And this has continued on and on and on. I'm old enough to remember when the plants first started, there was quite a lot of money in this county. In fact, in the Joppa district, man, we had money to burn. And that carried over into Massac County. So here we're talking about small potatoes, about what every citizen should have to contribute. We've got major industries here that could contribute some major money, and what they're doing is how to put this, they're dazzling us with their footwork. They tell us that one of their kilns have gone down, so therefore they're gonna reduce taxes. Well, what happens if some of my cows die? Do I get a tax break if some of those die? Well, I'm not talking about just the kiln. I'm talking about that every major industry, if my memory serves me right, has appealed their taxes, and whenever I call the tax office here and ask them about it, they said, different people, not this gentleman here, but other people that have been here have said to me, we don't have the money to fight those kinds of issues. They've got the deep pockets. It looks to me like we're just overlooking a major source of income. So maybe we do need to get, like Sammy says, maybe we need to get really creative here and do something about what's going on with these major industries. Maybe they ought to be paying their fair share instead of letting them dictate to us what they're going to pay.
Amen.
All right. Well, we went on for probably a half hour roughly. You got anything you wanna say about the levy, or?
No,
No, I
I
was
just wanna talk to
let
Mr.
Patrick-
Vick. I believe they've tried that before, and they've got those lawyers that we can't win.
I'm not one of these
That's
people
what
that just
I'm
give
saying.
up. I'm one of these people who believes that the court of public opinion can do something about that.
Okay.
I think if the people in this county were aware of what's going on, I think we could change it.
Jason?
So we look into it.
I think in the past, anytime that's happened, like with Joppa, for instance, the superintendent was notified, we had documentation, we would assist in that. They chose not to fight that fight. So,
We just give up and we keep looking to.
well, they had,
They look to
The
me
school
for more
district has
taxes.
the
They
most
tell
to gain.
me that if I were to protest my tax, I don't have a chance because they're really up. This is what they said, that we're really up on those kinds of taxes. Well, maybe they need to get up on the other kinds of taxes. The other businesses. I just think we've got a diamond in the rough here and all of us are overlooking it.
Well, but again, they've changed other taxes around, used to you had a trailer tax assessed on footage. No, it's a property tax, and if you buy a trailer, you're taxed as a house. Well, that's fine, and I understand people live in them like a house. It's not a house, might as well build a house. But everything keeps going up for us, and it keeps going down for them. You're gonna wait 2 years to reassess them because they dropped a kiln? Well, they got it back up and it's running. Well, I don't charge for a partial year, well, I understand that, but I'm sure, if I don't pay my bill and they shut it off at the electric company, when I go in and redo it, they, prorate. Well, you're turning it on halfway through. Well, we need to figure out a way to do it halfway through too. And prorate usually ain't good for the customer, I can assure you, I've seen it before. Never is.
Well, excuse me, did we come here to discuss it or vote on it, or what is the bottom line?
But
It is proposed right now. If
You're
there's a-
proposing we take it, we do what?
It is on the table. If there is a motion to accept and a second, we will have a vote.
Are you gonna make that a motion?
I will not make that a motion.
I'm getting emotional. I have to leave. I wanna be in for the vote.
You don't have
Oh,
to
I
leave.
could make a motion to vote on it?
No, no,
Okay.
sorry,
I said
Betty.
you can be in here for the vote. I mean, in the room.
He's saying it's the next thing on the agenda, and he's calling for a vote on the taxation, either up or down. I guess that's what you're saying.
I'm
Judge.
gonna entertain a motion.
He's gonna,
Well, I would like Sammy to get up when Patrick sit down. I got a few questions to ask him before we do that.
They should have let you know.
you don't think so?
Yes,
Those are
Patrick, on the TV,
Yes.
if we mark that off, you know, 50,000 or reduce that, that has to be on the levy for a certain amount?
We have a fund rate maximum. I would think you would want to have some levy, but there, to my knowledge, is no fund rate minimum.
Okay.
Now, there are other counties do it differently. And not necessarily want to be the example for things we do, but Johnson County, which of course is a slightly smaller county than ours, assesses $5,000 for tuberculosis. That's an example. I'm not saying that's what you need to do. That's just an example.
Their tax rate's higher than ours, isn't it?
It is higher than ours.
Yeah, I noticed that. Would you all be willing to reduce TV down to 5,000? Or Jeff, what's your thoughts on that? Reduce it from 50 down?
Before I mention anything, let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. We are regulated to levy a tax to fund the TV? Is that what you're telling me?
That is a line item that you are allowed to tax.
That we are allowed to tax?
Correct. And you have a fund max rate, or a maximum rate on the fund of .075. Make sure I got that right. I'm sorry, .05 is what our maximum is.
You say Johnson County says 5,000, in that account?
That, this is a figure that I have coming back from last year. I've not seen their current levy for going forward, but that's the information I was provided.
Not that I foresee this happening, but providing that we don't have an outbreak, even if we have an outbreak, it's gonna have to be fairly severe to be devastating to this fund. Well, I don't know, 10,000 a month, a year is 120,000. Are you thinking 5,000? Is that your thoughts, or? You threw a figure out there. That's reducing it, yeah.
It's a tremendous, you know, a pretty low amount, you know, from 50,000 where we were at. Once we reduce that, it's difficult to get it back up.
The
Over time.
detail will limit our overall levy, or extension of taxes, to inflation or 5%, whichever is less. So we don't know what it will be next year yet, but assuming it's not too off 0.8, maybe a percentage point or two, the overall levy of the county will have that limitation. So you could change another levy to compensate for it if the overall levy wasn't able to be raised sufficiently.
I mean, I do agree that that account has, you know, built up some, and I feel like we do have enough in there to cover if there is an outbreak in the future, but I would hate to take it totally off the, you know, that's why I suggested 5,000. If you all have a different number, we can discuss it. Or
plenty.
Like you say, Johnson County, that's the amount they're using, $5,000. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, that's, what are we gonna do with the rest of them?
I'm just trying to do one at a time.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying to do.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
You said there was a ceiling on that. Is that correct?
On the fund.
On the fund, the total amount that's in the fund.
So, I mean, once that ceiling's met, the tax that's coming in after that, are we not taxed for that no more, or does it just go somewhere else?
They can't levy a tax above that amount. So for instance, just to take.
Well, no, I thought he meant like on a ceiling on the whole, like, cause if it's been 10 years or so, and we've been putting $50,000 in a year, there should be well more over than 220-something thousand in there.
Well, some of the money has been spent evidently.
They use it other places.
Huh.
So that, they keep it below that, they just take it,
Oh.
right back to that slush fund comment I made.
Well, yeah, and no, nothing bashing you all. I mean, if I needed the money from somewhere, I'd probably do it too, but I'd go to jail for it. And, and I mean, y'all gotta have, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, if there was a ceiling on the total amount of 250,000 or 400,000, if that was it, then, like you said, unless there was a major outbreak, once we get there, then 5,000 or less shouldn't take much to keep it up. If we're not using it for TB, it should be there.
Shouldn't have to put any in it. If you got-
Exactly.
If you already got money in your account, why would you keep adding to it every year? But apparently you take the money out for something else.
Correct, that's what they
Do
say.
you happen to know what that limit, that roof is?
What the fund rate is,
What the,
we were funding it, and this may be a year-old number, we were funding it at .0233. The max rate we could fund it at is .05.
okay. So I guess my question is there a maximum dollar amount that can be in the fund?
I'm not aware of
Okay.
a dollar amount, it's a maximum.
Last year, our fund levy was 40,000, but after it went through the final fund extension, it was $39,973. Because, we're limited on PTEL. On the, actual percentage of inflation.
Is there some,
I mean, we just go through each one of these. That state aid road, the very first one, 175,000. It's, with the highway departments, how they maintain the road systems out there. So you got county unit road district and bridges. You got basically identical for what they did last year. I don't know if y'all have a copy of 14s with you.
I do.
Or 15, I mean. Based on last year was almost identical, it has not increased at all. County road, unit road district's the same. Bridges is identical, pretty much, 88,000. Next page, you got Massac Unit Road District, again, 88,000 split in two halves there. You got federal aid matching tax, which is bridges. It's, went up, looks like $1,000, it went up from 87 to 88. Then you got general assistance, that's 173,000, went to 174. And you got IMRF.
Back up one, general assistance.
Yep.
It went to what?
174 from 173.
I think you're backwards, but.
I think you're backwards,
Oh, I'm
yeah, up
sorry.
to 173.
You're right, 173. I was looking at the, and then, IMRF, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, 300,000.
Do you allow questions?
Yeah, go ahead,
Oh,
if you want.
On this general assistance fund, is that mandated by law?
It is mandated that we levy a tax for it, or have the fund, to be more accurate to say. How much is placed in the fund is up to the county board.
But it's mandated by law that you have that program.
Yes,
I thought that another county did away with it.
they did, and I don't think that was legal.
Is canceled the program and it's illegal? Nothing happened?
The statute says that, and I apologize for not having it here in front of me, but the statute says that the county shall, counties in commission form of government shall have a general assistance program. It's not a permissive, it's a mandatory.
And I agree with you, Patrick.
And
Yeah, that's
and so,
always been there.
correct, and so the issue then is, with the county board, how much do they levy for it? Or if they don't levy, how much do they put into the program?
Just what is it? What's it for?
I think it'd probably be better off for someone over here to speak more about that.
I mean, what's it used for? Who gets it?
Very, very poor people that don't qualify for any assistance programs. Usually those are ones that can't work because they got an active disability pending.
Well, they're getting disability though. They
No,
They
no,
don't qualify.
no, they don't qualify, and so they've got their application pending, and sometimes that takes years and years. You know, and they have nothing,
And
so
they
it
do,
helps.
the county gets reimbursed if
Yes.
they get approved for
We do,
SSI.
Social Security will reimburse us.
The county gets reimbursed for what they spend on general assistance?
If a person gets approved for SSI, Social Security, disability, whichever one. I'm speaking,
Well,
I used to be the administrator for public aid DHS.
So then you get your money back.
The state used to have a program where we get cash, and the state eliminated that how many years ago, I don't know.
3 or 4 times.
And general assistance, the state eliminated funding that completely several years ago. But the statute does say that every county, I believe, has to
How
have
many
a
people
program.
collect this or get this money?
Well, it just depends.
Well,
on
like what's
need.
the average?
I would say around 40 to 50. And it's valuable, it helps them. These people have serious health problems that preclude them to be in the workforce.
Or
It's-
they can be, is it still 55?
Yeah, and a 55-year-old.
But I think the
There's,
county
you know,
is
you have to
right
qualify
make
for
Okay,
it.
55 or
We
older.
have some discretion.
Or-
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
So it does help people.
But what he said is it doesn't have to be on a property tax, it could be out of their general fund, and that's what I'm saying. I didn't
Oh,
say,
yeah.
I said they could take it all off their general and just not put it on property tax,
What, you mean not get a levy?
not get a levy.
Well, I thought by law we have to have a levy for it.
Well, we have to
have a
provide,
program.
we have to have a program. There is a provision in law that if we have a levy of a certain amount or fund it to a certain amount, we would receive state assistance for that. Now, the state has basically not providing the assistance they used to.
So you could have this program, keep it and fund it out of general fund,
No,
no?
Well, there's no money.
there's no,
Do you guys have extra money in the general fund?
I mean, there's,
Not at this current time. no.
Okay.
yeah, we wouldn't be able to operate.
Well, what about the money that you're not using in the TV fund?
We just, you know,
Can't,
That's not supposed to be used for anything else other than
Well, I
TV.
thought you took some of that out that you didn't use and put it in the general fund.
The county is only allowed to borrow from funds, to use in other funds on an annual basis.
And then it is supposed to be repaid back into that particular, whatever fund it is.
So all the money in the last 10 years that you took out of the TV fund has been replaced?
that was one time,
I
there was
can't
money
answer that
taken out.
question after before I was here.
Is that about right? All the money that's been taken out of the TV fund, put in general fund,
I
been
don't believe
replaced?
that's correct.
You think that's correct?
No.
Oh.
This is very confusing.
Very. I need to go to school on this, and believe me, I'm going to.
Well, not to create more work for anybody, but I'm willing, as Mr. Strautmeyer mentioned, he and I sat down and discussed this at length. I have been at all the meetings that were hosted by
I know
Mr.
you have,
Middendorf,
I see you there.
and be happy to answer any questions on the legalized side. Now, some of the technical aspects, obviously, certain programs,
Right.
the directors of those programs need to answer. I could give you a general ballpark answer, but on the legal side, I'm happy to talk to basically
So,
anybody that wants to.
So how much is in this fund? How much do you collect in
The
cash?
general assistance.
The general assistance
General
fund.
assistance.
Yeah, how
That's
much?
one I don't know. Lori might know.
Well, we get a levy, you know, each
Yeah.
year for, I think
How much
it's
is in your fund
173.
now?
How much is in there?
There's a
173, so, and what we do with that, that's, like I said, it goes to the people that we serve, and it helps pay, they get $100 a month, and then, they get help with their prescriptions.
Now, here's a question that you could ask. let's talk about general assistance. You take the general assistance, you keep the program, and it's administered by the state's attorney's office. And then you redo the guidelines on what the state has done, and Patrick can hand out the state, that. Then that money that would normally go from your property tax, that could be taken out somewhere else. What I'm saying is, that they can move the monies around in the budgets. They don't have to get rid of general assistance, but they have to make a priority other than to continue to tax people's properties, and that's what I am saying. Say, if you want general,
Pay for it out of general fund.
then I say, and that's what I'm saying, put everything in the general fund, and then get rid of the property tax, and then be creative on what we're gonna do and where we're gonna cut at.
I have a question.
Yes?
Isn't property tax over half of the budget for the county? So
Well,
we're,
Depending on how much, and I don't, they can answer this
approximately.
question, as well, but depending on how much we collect in income and sales taxes, which are the other two large sources of income, it's either half, could be as up to as much as 2/3.
2/3,
Yeah.
so if we take 66% out of you guys' budgets, what'll happen to the county? Because that's the question you're
Or it
proposing
could be
today.
40%. Well, but.
Okay, but
I
if
say
we take 40%,
Take
50,
40%.
60, what's it
Well,
gonna
obviously,
do?
there'll be layoffs. We will have reduction in staffing, services. I don't know if we'll be able to keep functioning the
Your
jail the way it
unemployment
is.
rate would go up.
Huh?
Your unemployment rate would go up.
Well,
Eventually.
and, I mean, obviously, we probably would be able to keep all the deputies that we have on to try to protect, and I wouldn't think we could maintain the jail either. I mean, there'll be some major issues.
And that's what I told Patrick the
You
other
know,
day.
it'd be some,
I
it'd
said
be
that-
similar to the time when
jail is
we
a
had to
money
go through
maker.
that part where the state didn't pay us the sales tax and income tax money for many, many months, where we had layoffs and we laid people off, but it would just, instead of it being temporary, it would just be forever.
I don't think it's right to say, we've gotta tax the people in Massac County to keep up a jail that's not making money, and not charge any other counties a higher rate. I just cannot see taxing these people to keep up a jail, so other counties don't have to have, so they don't have to have a
Well,
tax
you
increase.
understand, I mean, obviously, we all understand, if we don't have a jail, there's still gonna be a major cost there, right? I mean, you understand that, right?
Well, that goes back to Patrick then.
I mean, you
Of
understand that.
how,
I mean, you understand that we.
that goes back to Patrick on how they, you know, like I
That we
said.
want to pay for our people to be somewhere else.
Yes.
We gotta have employees that will take them
Well,
back
what
and
you gotta
forth,
look-
sometimes a few times a day. I mean, there's a lot of cost. It's not like you're gonna reduce your labor a whole lot
Oh,
by
you're
not
not
having a
reducing,
jail.
but other counties don't have jails.
I understand that.
Name them off that didn't have a jail. You just named off Johnson, you just named off,
Johnson, Pope, and, Pulaski, maybe, I don't know.
Hardin.
Hardin. You just named, they don't have jails.
Yeah.
Alexander don't have a
Those are all
jail.
smaller than us.
Union doesn't have a jail. Now, I've just named off 5 or 6 counties here in southern Illinois that don't have jails.
The only two of those counties that are similar to us in size are Union and Johnson.
And they don't have jails.
They also are located in a more potentially advantageous location than we are. We are located on the Kentucky border. We cannot house our inmates out of state. We'll have to go somewhere else in Illinois to
To
house. our inmates.
Tri-County, to the county next door, just like
And the
they're
last
doing.
time we checked their rate, it was $50 a day.
Okay, and what it is, it's a calculation of, once again, it goes back to your sentencing and how you're doing people. And whether you have work release programs or something like that instead. But what I'm saying is, that, Union County takes theirs to Jackson.
Correct. And they
Johnson takes theirs to us,
or Saline.
or Saline. Same thing, I'm just repeating what you're saying. There's no, the reason is, what I'm saying is, why don't we look at Pulaski County?
Well, we would still have the cost of transportation there and back. So typically it would be for an inmate 3 trips a day. The deputy would leave from here, go there, pick them up, bring them to court, and then return them back to the jail.
Are you still responsible for medical?
We would still be responsible for medical. And out-of-county inmates are responsible for those counties are responsible for their medical treatment that occurs in our jail. It is essentially a cost-benefit analysis.
That's what I'm saying.
We would have to re-examine the number of individuals that we housed if we were not to have.
All
our
of
jail.
government has to have that examination. And what I'm saying is, soybeans a couple of years ago were $18 a bushel. Soybeans today are $9 a bushel. If you're a farmer in this county, that is what you're faced with, budget cuts. if you're with these people in this room, I don't know what everybody does, but you're faced with budget cuts. And you're saying that you all can't have budget cuts. I'm saying that you all can actually fund and run government by eliminating the property tax. I think that y'all can switch it around. I think y'all can look at other items.
I disagree, I think it'd be a major issue.
Would it be creative that you'd have to do? I think so.
It'd be beyond creative, I mean, it'd be almost impossible to run county government.
When does the budget get approved?
Hopefully
As soon as we get it done.
Next week, I hope.
Okay.
Well, it'll be presented.
And their budget is based upon this tax. So what this tax is, now we're gonna do the budget. The main thing is where you cut is always in the levy. If you want a tax cut, if you want items to cut off your property, this is a meeting. It's the levy meeting. The levy is what sets the taxes. Then after you set the taxes, the dollar amount, then these county commissioners now will set the budget on who gets what. But the main thing that the public's interested in, this group here, is this meeting, to cut the taxes. Then once you cut the taxes, then they come back next week and say, okay, here's what the taxes have been set, here's how we're gonna redo government.
What, and our tax bill, what percentage is the county? I mean, I know what it is, but I'm asking you.
I don't know.
I mean, out of your property tax bill that you pay,
Yeah.
what percentage was it?
It's different for whether you're in town or not, the percentage change.
We're pretty close, but what do you
Oh,
think it is?
what, there's 5? 10?
It's, actually, Massac County's right at 20%, because I live in the county, that's what my.
Okay, county, it's 20%.
Total. But the school district, did you all attend the levy at the school district? It's over 60-something%, that's your major tax levy.
But what you're saying is we should,
No, I'm saying, I'm encouraging you to come here today, I have no issue, but it feels like that, we're the whipping stick today, but.
today maybe you are, I would probably agree with that, but I'm down at the courthouse,
I
I have to come to the courthouse, I
you know,
notice these things.
But, I mean, when you're talking about Massac County One, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you're talking over 60% of your tax bill is right there,
I agree.
I mean, you got.
But
you got
we're talking about this tax bill of 20%.
You got the hospital, you got, Shawnee College.
Well,
And
the
there's
hospital is once again an issue back to the county board. You're the one that points the hospital members.
But, I mean,
The county hospital, which directs right back to you all. You're the ones that appointed the board.
Well, when you need money, we all know how you get it. You raise taxes or you make cuts and you're spending.
I mean,
There's no other way.
I just wanna make sure, what we talked about today, if we didn't change the levy, which we've already changed something on it, but if we did, it's just going up roughly 0.5% or maybe 0.8%.
Right.
Okay, we all understand that.
Okay, my question or statement, generally speaking, how many people do you think would be here complaining if you were talking about just a minor little 0.8% cut in the property taxes? Because you found some places like the TV fund and stuff like that where you could eliminate or reduce and save some money, and the property taxes were going down 0.8%. Just that little tiny little bit, 0.8%. How many of you think be here complaining?
Well,
I don't think anybody.
what you're saying is the philosophy is wrong. You're saying the philosophy here needs to be cut and look to make cuts. They're saying, their philosophy is we wanna tax you more and it's very little.
We want to save.
One, to
time,
get,
we
what
got
about people, they should have their meetings at night, at 7 o'clock at night, where actually people can
a lot of
go,
people could come.
where you can get more people there. Your meeting should be moved to nights.
It's just a small percentage, 8%. How about voting to cut it that much instead of raising it?
Or even not do any. We made it this year,
And leave it like it is.
they're high. Property tax is high. Some of these guys are paying a whole lot more than me. I don't like what I pay. And the argument can be said, well, if you don't wanna pay property tax, don't buy a mansion on a hill. Okay, well, I could've bought a trailer before and paid $100. That ain't gonna happen now, cause it's all went up.
So are you suggesting just keep it flat? I mean, I'm fine with it.
I mean, at least don't raise it. I mean, heck. Or even like you, well, 0.8% ain't so bad a raise, well, 0.8% ain't a bad cut. And mind you, cause you've done that with the TV fund, that's gonna drop it a little bit. But I mean, yeah,
Surely, there's other places you can find, $2.5 million budget. Seems like you could find some place like that.
Well, that's what we suggested. I suggested we do your jail. They haven't even got through all, look at the jail. That's what you need to say. Now we're gonna look at the sheriff's jail.
We're kind of, we're talking about two different things. The levy is the 2.5 million, the budget's probably somewhere over 4 million. So there's not a specific levy for the jail. There's a levy with the general fund, which.
But what you described about what the deputies have to do, that's unfeasible.
Well, that's the argument against it.
Yeah. So the other argument is to increase prices for the people that you take care of, so that it becomes a money-making project instead of a loss.
And we did that a few years ago, and I'll explain to you what happened. The sheriff probably better to explain it, but I know enough, I think, probably to talk intelligently about it. We basically house from 3 counties, Johnson, Pope, and Hardin. Those all happen to be not only close to Massac County, but close to Saline County, which has a jail. We raised our rate, I don't remember if it's $35 or $40, but we went up from $30. Well, Saline County didn't raise their rate. They underbid us, so to speak.
So they all went to.
So they all went to Saline County. So that puts us at a disadvantage, so we're both there in a standoff. Basically, we both be rewarded if we each increased it, by being both, Saline County and Massac County would be benefited by increasing, but if one does it without the other, then it's gonna benefit the other.
How long could they maintain that? Everybody going?
Well, they actually have a very new jail facility. By new, I think it's within the last 5 to 7 years. And my understanding is that they also get federal inmates.
We don't?
That's correct.
Why is that?
I don't know that I can answer that question for you, why that occurs, but it would be something maybe to ask the sheriff or someone from the jail administrator, someone from the sheriff's department.
So they get, Saline gets federal inmates and they make money.
I don't know how much money they make. I don't know what it does for their budget, but I do know they pay more than what state inmates pay. The federal government places inmates by contract, so you have to contract with the federal government, that's how it works.
Okay.
So if we raise the price and then they say, well, we're not gonna pay that, we're gonna take them here, then we're just being taxed for our idiots, basically. And I like that, because then if there's, how many of our idiots compared to their idiots are we housing?
Well, the issue isn't so much that,
Cause if we
more of our
only,
tax, more of our tax dollars goes to us, the issue really is, we would have fewer people in the jail. Our capacity is 40, let's just use that as the number. Let's say there's 10 from out of county or 15. Basically, there would be 10 to 15 beds open. We probably would not put any, people are charged and convicted based on what they do, we just don't go find people and charge them.
well, no, I know that, that's why I said idiots,
So we would have,
cause that's the ones that usually end up over there.
we would still have the same amount of staffing that we would need for the jail. So it's, in essence, we would have the same costs, but not get any of the offset of the cost from the other counties.
I can see that.
Well, I can see that too, but if there's, if it's just our idiots, and, not saying that idiots can't act up at the right time, and we'll have a bunch of them. But if there's usually about the same 10 people in there,
What I'm saying, Pete,
is, we could make it smaller, or ship them somewhere else. We ain't shipping all 40 of them somewhere, that's their problem. We're shipping our idiots somewhere,
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So when you say, well, this is a big problem because we got all these inmates, well, no, right now we only got this
We got
many from
this
our
many.
county.
That's right.
The rest are from our county, they'll have to figure it out.
No, that's entered into the calculation. We take that into consideration, of course.
And it goes back to that calculation. What I'm saying, when you reduce the other counties, you look at ours. Oh, if we only have so many people, we should look at what Pulaski is. Then you look at Pulaski's rate versus what we have as an average, and you're gonna say, oh, we need to reduce the rate, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying too.
Well, that's answered all my questions. Thank you all very much. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. I hope I have not caused you much distress today.
No, I appreciate you.
All of y'all. But again, have a Merry Christmas. I got things to do. I got a towboat to catch. So
All right.
y'all have a good day.
Merry Christmas.
I wanna make a motion to reduce the TV to $5,000. Everything else stays the same at flat, no increase from the previous year. But we are doing a reduction in TV to 5,000. Everything else stays the same from the previous year is my motion. That way there's not a tax increase, it actually would be reduced. Because we're lowering TV and keeping everything else the same as the previous year. That is my motion, if I can get a second on that.
Jason, do you think any of the rest of them can be cut?
I don't, I mean, we got 4-H, if you all wanna cut 4-H, I think they get $62,000. You got the, health board, $774,000. It's actually 173, I'm sorry. You got, the county, we get 475,
You're talking about last year's or this
I'm talking about
proposed?
proposed. So, I don't, unless there's something else you all want to cut, but my proposal is to, reduce TV to 5,000 from 50,000 and continue, just freeze it, maintain what we had last year, for this year on the levy, with the other, individual ones there. That is what I'm asking, unless you all see
Got all that
something,
written down?
unless you all
Got it.
see something else, that you would like to reduce.
There's a motion on the table.
I'll second.
Okay. You wanna call roll here in a minute?
Jeff Weber,
I'm gonna vote nay just because
Jason
I've said it, may I explain that?
Okay.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, I have a very hard time taking money from somebody who works and giving it to somebody who don't. Lori, you're a wonderful woman and I promise you, I'm not after you.
well, you can have an opinion, Jeff, it doesn't mean it's right
That's
or
true.
correct, you know?
But, I cannot stand taking money from somebody who worked for it and giving it to somebody who doesn't work.
Well,
It's just me.
it's because they can't, but I understand.
Jason,
Yes.
Gerald,
Yes.
motion passed.
I think we can work on this though.
Yeah.
Next year.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies, for coming in today. Stay longer than I did. That's fine.
Yeah, which should be 5,000.
I wasn't here to talk.
Oh, you got something else though? Oh, I thought you was here. I thought you meant you was in here for something else.
No, I just got thrown in here. Oh my God.
You'll be all right. No, you come to the right place. This is where it happens at.
They graded it and it was,
This is
they
your original.
made diagonal marks in it, and even after,
Damn it, I'm gonna be in the paper.
4 inch plus rains, it's still really rough.
Assessments, when they filed a complaint, it was after I had closed out my books. I did not make a change. Lafarge filed an appeal with an appraiser.
After
After the Board of Review went into session. I am the clerk for the Board of Review. Okay. At that point in time, Lafarge came in with an appraisal. They brought it to me day one. And I gave copies to each of the board,
taxing bodies.
each of the Board of Review members. And at that point in time, my staff contacted Mr. Biggerstaff. I have a file down here this thick of all the documentation that if anybody wants to see it, they're more than welcome to come down. I tried several times to get them to get involved and explain what needs to happen because and I believe if you go back and read an article in the paper, I had stated before, if you ignore this and do not come in and challenge this assessment, you're gonna push that burden off into the other taxpayers. Or you can, do nothing and, or you can do something about it. And they chose not to even respond and come to, address this issue, which I found to be very, again, I've got documentation including letters, dates, where we contacted the school, whether or not that, whether or not the information got onward, that's not my responsibility, that's up to the superintendent or whoever was acting in authority over there in that school district. Okay? Then, after we also received that complaint then from the Property Tax Appeal Board, which happened like 6-7 months later, after the Board of Review said no change, okay? Then it became, okay, if this thing goes to the Property Tax Appeal Board and they rule on this case and we lose, you, as a taxing body, are gonna have to pay back that money from their tax bill.
They've done that before down there,
Yes, 20 years ago, and I talked to the
probably
gentleman.
more than 20, but
Well, I was told approximately 20,
Yeah.
and I got to know the
When I was a
gentleman who
kid.
was the PTAB officer. His name was Fred Spitler. And I had a one-on-one conversation, and it was pretty much, you don't want to go that route and not be prepared. Now, if the school district felt that strong about their value, then they could have got a certified general appraiser who, again, the gentleman who did the appraisal for Lafarge was an MAI, which stands for Master Appraisal Institute. Those guys are this level of education.
who was that guy, do you know?
I couldn't tell you his name, but, I'm at this level, they're at that level, okay? I'm not qualified to, sit there and dispute their information. They're the ones with the credentials, I'm not. So I just wanna make it very clear that, and through that whole process, they had an opportunity, not once, not twice, probably about 5 or 6 times, because again, they're getting 65-70% of that burden, or that money from the levy, and they had the most to lose. And to think their statutes, and I'll bring it up to anybody, and again, I've got it in that file, where taxing districts have rights, and it's up to them if they don't agree with the value. So everybody keeps saying they don't agree with these values, well, get involved. There is a process. I have a board of review. There is a process, and if you feel that strongly, you need to get involved. Otherwise, I gotta go with information. And the information was an appraisal from a certified general appraiser that I got nothing. And again, that stipulation was done between the state's attorney and Lafarge. But all the taxing districts were notified. Every one of them was notified that there was looked to be a change in that value. So I just wanna make sure that that's clarified and on the record. And again, I've got a file down in my office. Anybody, Michelle, you wanna come down, take a look through it, you're more than welcome. Okay? Thank you. I didn't wanna stir up a bunch of people in the room by making that statement at that point in time.
How many of those people were Joppa people,
I would say about 5 or 6
I wasn't sure.
that were school board.
Who was the older gentleman sitting right there?
Is that Miller?
I couldn't get to look at him. I mean, I looked at
Gerald,
him.
who's the older gentleman sitting right
I
there?
think it works,
I think his last name was Miller.
yeah, lives at, down at Bruce Gillespie's subdivision on the river where I get my dirt.
Oh, okay.
Can't think the name of it.
Thank you, I appreciate you giving me that opportunity.